Hello, this is Angela Anderson. Thanks for joining me for this acrylic painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint a sunflower field with a girl. You could leave the girl out if you don't want to do it. That's probably going to be the most difficult part. I've got my husband, Mark, with me.
Hey there, everybody.
He's man in chat during our live show, so if you've got questions, you can ask those, and I will try to answer them while we're painting. Let's get started. Be using a 9 by 12 inch canvas panel. This is a Belgian Linen Pro Series from Fredrix. They're our canvas sponsor. Love these boards. They've got a hard core, so they're nice and sturdy, and they won't warp. And they've got kind of a low tack, so it makes it nice. We go over our brushes. We're probably going to be using some Filberts in the background to get kind of that soft, fuzzy look. Go ahead and pop up the reference photo there, honey. There we go. So you can kind of see the background. Most of the background is all kind of blurry. So we'll probably be using some of the Filberts for that. It'll be the number 8, number 6, number 4 Filbert. And then I've got a number 2 and a number 1 round. These are in the Princeton Summit 6100 series brushes. And then some of the more details we'll be doing with the angle brush. This is the 3/8 inch angle and a 1/4 inch angle. And then I've got a 3/8 inch Willow's blender. That's this kind of a Filbert looking one. It's got stiff bristles. And then this is the 10-aught liner brush for like the eyelashes and some of the finer hair details. And then I've got a Granier. This is a Filbert Granier, kind of rake, comb, anything like that. It's basically there's some bristles missing in there to make it for some of the hair texture and that kind of thing. And then we might use, I didn't have it on my list, but I grabbed it at the last minute. If we need to, we may use the Deerfoot Stippler. This is a 3/8 inch just to blend out some of those fuzzy edges if we need it. But first I'm going to start with the number 8 Filbert. I'm going to go over our colors really quick. This is the Unbleached Titanium, Titanium White, Cadmium Red Light, Cadmium Orange, Indian Yellow Hue, Yellow Oxide, Cadmium Yellow Medium, Phthalo Green Yellow Shade, Phthalo Blue Green Shade, Ultramarine, Burnt Sienna, Burnt Umber, and a little bit of Carbon Black in case we need it. Something really dark.
You passed the test. Good job.
Hope y'all are doing well today. It's a beautiful Saturday here.
Yes, it is.
We've been out and about already.
Fall Fest.
So, yep, it's Fall Fest today. All right, I'm going to start out with a little bit of white, and I'm going to grab some yellow. I'm going to mix up some of that. I'm going to kind of make a mess over here, but that's all right. I'm going to grab some yellow oxide, have that ready, and then a little bit of my phthalo green. And to the phthalo green, I'm going to add some burnt sienna to kind of tone it down. Okay, those are good to start with. I think I'm just going to go ahead and start sort of slapping it on there. I did draw out the girl. I'll show you her later. Well, I guess let's go ahead and just do it right now. So I'm going to set that aside. She's kind of fitting right in if this is the halfway mark, this is our 1/4 mark. So I guess if you did thirds here, she's right on the edge of that middle third here, and then if you split it in half here, her face kind of fits in this upper section here. So I just kind of did a rounded part for her head here, and then it's going to come down, and it's going to kind of come in for her eye socket here, and then it's going to round out for her cheek and come back this way. Her ear is going to be if you kind of did a diagonal line across from this little point right here, the ear is going to kind of be right in the middle of that, and it's fairly close to the head or to the edge of the face there. And then there's just a little bit of the hair showing right here, and it curves down like this, and then her neck's back in here. We're not seeing it, but then her shoulder's coming out at an angle, and it is just below the halfway mark, probably I guess maybe a thumb's width from the chin. And you're going to do kind of an angle out here, and it's going to come past the face, roll it down over the shoulder, and it goes a little bit diagonal out this way, and then this part of the arm kind of comes down like that. Then there's a little bit of her shirt showing right here. The back of her head kind of curves around like this and comes almost straight down, sort of at an angle a little bit, and then curves around like this. And then this will all be hair down here over the top of her dress. Then her hand here is going to come up fairly close. It's almost going straight up. It's a little bit angled. And then right, like if you did a diagonal line right here, that's kind of where her wrist is. Curves out this way and then curves back up for the cup of her hand. And then this part curves out. And then her thumb curves up like that. And then there's a little bit of the thumb showing right there. Then this hand is just cupping right here, and you're really not seeing any of the detail. There might be a little thumb there, but we're going to put the flower in the way of that. So, and then the center of the flower is going to be fitting right in between these two hands right here, and just leave some room for these petals to kind of cover up the hands. And that's that. What I would do probably, if you're not comfortable with drawing figures, I would grid it. I would take the reference photo and do a grid over that. You just, kind of mark with light chalk on your palette or on your canvas and on your reference image. And then it'll make it easier to draw that in if you just kind of use the grid method. And I've used that for several other videos if you want to see how to do that. Okay, so let's get started here now. So we've got our green and our yellows, and I'm just going to kind of slap this on here, and I'm going to try to go around her face. I did trace this out after I drew it on here. I went ahead and traced it out on tracing paper just in case I covered too much of it so that I don't have to redo it all if I need to. And really, it'd probably be easier to draw it after you do the sunflowers, but I was hoping this would save me time. I don't know if it will. I was not sure. We'll see. We'll see if that was a smart decision or not. All right, I'm going to do some dark. So I'm going to grab some burnt umber here and do some dark areas. Here, a lot of this area behind her is all dark here. How's everybody doing today, hon?
It looks like they're all doing well.
Good.
Everybody's coming in. Everybody's so friendly, saying hi to each other.
Oh, I do miss that.
It's like the beginning of the Waltons.
John boy. Night, night, Grandpa. Alright, that brush is a little bit big for this. But I am just kind of slapping this on here for now, and then we're going to go back in here and add some details to this, obviously. So this is just kind of our first layer. Don't worry too much about placement. I'm just kind of looking and seeing where the darkest areas are and kind of trying to get some of these colors in here. So I'm going to go ahead and go right over the stem of that. Do not try to paint around the stem of your sunflower. Not be good.
I need to come over to give you a big hug from Mona.
Oh, why?
Well, she said to give you a big hug so you don't feel left out.
Thank you, Mona.
Oh, come on. I'll be over there in just a second.
Okay, thanks. He's really coming over here, too. You can hear him. He's moving.
See, they'll see my hand come across to give you a big
Oh,
hug.
thank you, honey.
This is from Mona.
Thanks, Mona.
This one's from me.
Hugs back, Mona. Hopefully somebody's there to give you a hug back.
Any excuse I can have to hug you.
Oh.
Oh, wait a minute. There's 200 other people here who want me to give you a hug. Hold on just a second. I'll be right there.
That's awesome. We'll be here all day.
Sorry, the painting has been preempted by one big long hug.
can't move my arms. Alright, I am just slapping this paint on here. Literally.
Technical art term.
Slapping it on there.
Slapping it. That's all one
Well,
word?
It's really slapping
Slapping it.
and it. There's a lot going on back here, so we're just not going to worry too much about it. As we get up to the top here, I'm going to switch to the yellow oxide and do some of that. And I do want to kind of slap in some of this down here. So I'm just literally just kind of almost pouncing with this brush to kind of add these brush strokes in here, just kind of trying to get that paint down, work it down into the canvas by pressing hard into it. All right, I'll grab some of that lighter yellow for up in here. This area is pretty light. Okay. Okay, so we're end up with a big hot mess. This is normal with acrylic painting. So if you're new to acrylics and you're kind of like, I don't think she knows what she's doing. Hopefully that's not true. But
just wait till
sometimes
the
I
end.
wonder that myself. But yeah. But no, you know, this is just kind of normal to have sort of a first layer be not quite looking like a whole lot. Just going to clean my brush out here. Now I'm going to switch to my smaller brush. This is the number 4 Filbert. I don't know. I'm going to need that number 6 after all. We'll see. I'm going to grab some white with my yellow here. And I'm going to just go into this wet paint and just dab in. And now I'm going to be kind of a little bit more deliberate about it. Try to think about where, look at where some of these flowers are here and try to sort of start to place some of these flowers. To that bright yellow.
They want to know, have you ever taken karate? Because you are, you're a ninja with a brush, fast and precise.
Brush painting ninja. I think that might be my slogan.
You're Angie Karate.
Instead of Johnny Karate. We are so behind on our, you know, that show like ended like 2 years ago. So we're quoting Parks and Rec now. Just discovered
I think
it.
it was like 3 or 4 years ago.
Oh, easily, probably, yeah. We are so with it. All right. Definitely. Probably need you to dry this. It's just kind of mixing with the color underneath here instead of laying on top, which I don't want it to do. So I'm ending up with a lot of get that ready. Good.
talk one.
Okay. Well, I don't know. I was just thinking. I was just having a whole conversation in my head there with myself. I don't know why. I was not talking. Well, I was trying to think of how I want to proceed with this. I'm probably going to pull out that. Yeah, it's kind of just mixing with what's under there. So let me let you take this, and I am going to kind of sort of roughly put in where that flower, the big one, there's going to be a big flower right here, and then another kind of smaller one right here.
Sorry.
Facing her. What are you doing? Are you just waiting for me?
I'm waiting for you.
Okay.
You said I was going to get to dry, so I got
I
excited.
am. I know.
Grab the hair
Okay.
dryer.
All right. I'm going to let you have that.
All right.
Oh, no. Oh, there's Stickman. Okay. Here he is. There's our mascot, Stickman. We'll put a sunflower. Let's see. Should we put a sunflower on the door? No, we're going to do a wreath later. Let's do a sunflower for his face. We don't do him as often anymore because I don't blow dry as much as I used to. So this was Mark's kind of first creation. It started out as a joke, and then I sketched on it during one of the shows, and then it kind of became a regular feature that we did every week. So we kind of just add to him depending on what it is we're painting that week, whenever I remember to do it. So there we go. He's got a sunflower face. This, I guess the last time we did it was the autumn door, when we did the door. I don't even know where Mark went to. I don't even hear the hairdryer. So, all right, so welcome, guys. I don't know. Oh, here it comes. If you, I didn't mention it before, but if you don't like to draw and don't want to do the grid method and want a traceable for this, I do have those available on Patreon. They're $1 a month for any unlimited traceables that you want. Oh, here, I'll show our owl from Tuesday night. Isn't he cute? He's actually easier than he looks. The hardest part was the eyes, but he really is very, very easy. He's just kind of little stipples and some glazing. That's all he was. Okay, thank you, honey. What? What do you...
What did you do to Stickman?
I did Stickman.
So, yeah, but what did you do to him?
I give him a sunflower for a face. What? Is that not...
That's just not right.
Oh, he's fine. He likes it. He's had
likes
flowers for a face before.
That's true.
All right, I've got the Deerfoot stippler here. I think I'm going to start with that and just try to... Oh, there we go. That's going to be better. And I'm really just going to kind of do these little round fuzzies. I don't want to necessarily stipple. I just want to kind of get some fuzzy edges on my flowers, because these are all supposed to be kind of out of focus. And so the best way to do that is just to kind of leave lots of kind of fuzziness around the edges of your, whatever it is you're doing. Just going to grab that whiter color there. There we go. Might look a little weird at first, but once we get these all on here, they should start to make sense.
So at the beginning of the show, you said that the field of flowers could be considered kind of a beginnerish.
Yeah,
level,
I think so.
but
I think so. Yeah.
Adding in the girl, you kind of go intermediate to more advanced.
Right. Although I picked her because she's kind of looking away, so that you're really not having to do a lot of the features, which is going to be the hardest part of any kind of portrait. So, the part that's showing is really very easy. So I don't think there's not a huge amount of detail in it. So I don't think it's one that is particularly difficult either. Okay, so just kind of, as they get closer to us, they're going to get larger. So these ones in the background, really far back, they're going to be really tiny. I'm going to grab some of this yellow oxide and add some of that in here. So they're going to be smaller back here. And then as they get closer, they're going to get a little bit bigger. And then these ones in the foreground are quite large. So there's some that are kind of back here that are probably right around the side edge of her face is, the last of the smaller ones. And then as they get closer, they're going to kind of below that, they're going to be large. And as they get a little closer, you're going to start seeing some more detail too. So I'm going to use a different brush here just to get, it's not going to be quite as fuzzy as we get down closer to us. We're going to start seeing a little bit of details in our flowers. Right.
Do you think a pouncer would do the same thing?
Like this? Yeah, you could probably get something similar with it. I'm going to switch to this brush now. This is the Willow's blender. And I'm going to grab the burnt sienna, a little bit of burnt umber. And then these ones are going to have, some of these are going to have centers. So I'm just going to tap in some centers.
And then your Deerfoot stippler, is it considered a stiff bristle or?
Yeah, it's stiff bristle.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And they can get those at the brushguys.com.
Yes.
There's a link
Yes.
down below. You click the link, it takes you to Angela's list of her recommended brushes, and
they're good for foliage. They're good for blending. This kind of blending. They're good for all kinds of different things. So as we're getting farther away, the centers are going to get a little bit more faded. So we're not going to really see much. So I'm just going to kind of very lightly touch back in here to kind of add a little bit of that color, but we're not going to have like the obvious centers like that in here.
so you've posted some more upcoming videos here.
Yeah, I've got a poll going right now on Patreon, so it looks like I've got some winners that I'll be using. Some of the ones that seem to be the most popular, because I had about 3 different, openings sort of in my schedule this fall that I kind of wanted. So we've got some really interesting landscapes and different, some floral. So it'll be good. So yeah, I'll be posting those soon. But I do have next week's up already. So if you're interested in seeing what we're painting next week, it's up already. We're going to be painting a cow.
A cow?
Or no, not a cow. Sheep. Sheep. Little Highland sheep, little black-faced.
I know, it looks pretty
so
cool.
Cute. He's so cute. He's not a Highland. He's a bull. Oh, I can't think of the name. I can't think of the name right now.
He's a sheep.
Valais, I think. Valais. But yeah, super black face. That's what I was calling him. It's called a Valley black face sheep. So
I wonder if he's a black face.
he's super cute. What?
Nothing. So I know I have to work on animals with you. Sheep, the animal flashcards.
Yeah. Okay, so you can kind of see how it's starting to look sort of, faded. It'll look way better once we get these other things in focus, and then these will kind of become less important back here. Right now, it kind of looks a little weird because they sort of look unfinished, so, but that's normal. It's normal, and we need to add more yellow, brighter yellow to them because we've got a lot of green going on right now. So I'm going to go back in here now, this brighter yellow, and go back over the top of the edges of my brown there that I did, and that'll kind of set that in, kind of define the edges of our flowers a little bit more. I'm using straight cadmium yellow medium here. And kind of putting it on fairly thick, too. What were you thinking? What are you laughing at?
I was just thinking something in my head totally unrelated.
Oh.
People are talking about chocolate in
You're
chat.
cracking yourself up
Yeah.
there in the corner? Okay. It's all right.
I'm entertaining myself over here.
I see. Just laughing at unrelated things. Crack myself up.
So I guess we can say hi to everybody.
Yeah.
Welcome to the channel.
Welcome.
Glad you found us today. If you're live, great having you with us. And in chat, hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel, and check out the hundreds and hundreds of videos Angela has on math.
Videos. No, not math.
No math?
No.
Okay, geometry. No.
They don't want me teaching them math.
Oh, you have some pretty good math solving techniques in your videos.
All right, I'm kind of tapping around in a circle here so that these ones that are a little closer kind of have a little bit of petal shapes, sort of. So, yeah. Oh my. I just haven't used it enough since college and high school. I just don't remember my math stuff anymore. Sad.
Well, you seem to be doing okay.
I think I'm surviving all right. Well, I mean, I know basic math. I just seem to remember some of the geometry terms.
The hypotenuse of the cotangent.
Right, exactly. Or diameter and radius, the difference between diameter. We've had lots of good comments after videos of people trying to help me out.
So if somebody wants to know if they do not have the Willow's blender, what could be a good substitute?
You could use any kind of scruffy brush, really. Just the Filbert shape would help, but and it doesn't necessarily have to be a stiff bristle brush for this. Really, it could be a softer bristle brush, just as long as you don't mind it getting kind of like some of my older brushes, get kind of fuzzy like this. These are the perfect kind of brushes to use. I never really throw these out because even though they're kind of destroyed, they make great brushes for this kind of thing. And you can use it. Or you could use, you could probably use your angle brush, but just kind of stipple with it a little bit. So I'm going to use a little bit of the burnt sienna now. I'm going to mix a little bit of that yellow with it. And some of these have a little bit of a lighter color in them. Just the ones kind of close to us here. Seeing a little bit of detail in there. Then let's just put a little bit of this color up in here. Just up in here, we're really just kind of wanting to dust it almost so that it's very, very subtle. And then down here we can be a little bit more deliberate with it. Okay, so we're getting pretty close. Right there, I think that's good enough. I'm going to go ahead and put in my first layer of my larger sunflowers, I think. And I can fix these later. Just using the edge of corner of my brush here to kind of smush down and pull out to get some of these flower petal shapes. Going all the way around in a circle. I'm going to make this one kind of in our picture is sort of going off the edge there. You can kind of see, but I decided to move it a little bit over so we can see it. So it's kind of right in the middle of our painting right there, or kind of off to the side. And then there's one right here. Let's see if I'm going to put it right here. And it's sort of facing this way, so its petals are going to come like this, and then the ones here are just kind of barely visible right there. Okay. And then these ones. Okay. That'll just give us a head start on it because it'll take a little bit to get those covered well. So close up to us. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and grab some of this, phthalo green, maybe a little bit of the yellow oxide. There we go, phthalo green, yellow oxide. And I'm going to kind of put in some little stems and leaves, just some indications of some stuff happening back here around my sunflowers. So nothing too detailed back here. Remember, we're going to keep it random. Putting a little bit of dark here and there. Dark draws your eye in, kind of gives it depth.
Okay, I think most people in chat are back with us. Their eyes kind of glazed over during that brief mention of math. So, sorry about that, everybody.
We lost them. We lost a few people. They're back.
They're kind of like stunned. Like a flashbang went off. And they're all like...
Nobody was talking for a while.
What?
I didn't know we needed to know math.
Math?
What's that? I'm going to grab some burnt sienna here and add that. I'm just kind of using burnt sienna, burnt yellow oxide, different colors in here in our leaves down in here. You're going to see all kinds of different shades of green. And this is all pretty random down here, so don't worry about going over the hair. You can see how I kind of made sure I went over the edge with with this. This is some of that yellow oxide color here. We add a little bit of unbleached titanium to lighten it up. There's some areas that are having a little bit of light. And then there's a stem. Coming down. Phthalo green yellow oxide here. There's a stem on the back side of here of this one. It's coming down right here, pretty thick. And then you're also seeing the stem of this one. And I'm guessing the stem is going to be right in here somewhere. So all right, that's good enough, I think, for now. And you can kind of see, or there's something going on there. It's sort of random, kind of somewhat leaf shapes, but nothing too obvious. All right, so let's put in her. Well, let's go ahead and, while I've got these colors out, I'm going to go ahead and put in the center of this sunflower here with some burnt sienna and burnt umber. Just tap that in. And put it in right here too. We'll put more coats on these flowers, obviously. We're just kind of laying in the foundations right now. And this one is going to have that color. Well, okay. This is actually the color that we're going to do her hair too, so I'm going to go ahead and just use that. Burnt sienna and burnt umber. Kind of equal parts almost. Isn't that pretty? You could, you could always change your hair color if you wanted it to be a different color too. I've got 2 tutorials that I did this summer that were girls in flower fields. So I've got a blonde and a brunette. So if you wanted to do different colored hair, you could do one of those easily. And I'm going to go ahead and put this on in the kind of the direction that hair is growing, and that way if I have streaks it will look like we meant to do it that way. I think I came way too far out with her hair right here. Right up by her face there, there's some golden color, so I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of yellow right here. And then I'm not going to go down as far as I need to with this hair, because we're going to do some details on the dress or the shirt or whatever. So just kind of putting in a first layer there. I feel like that is coming out too far, so I'm going to go ahead and cover up a little bit of that hair right here. That way we can kind of do some flyaway hair pieces, but they won't look like it's plastered to her head. Give us a little bit of space in the back there to put some sort of other hair. because the outside of her hair is going to have kind of some of these wispy things happening. And if we do too far out with our undercoat, then our wispy hair is going to make her look like she's got a big beehive. So kind of want to stay tight to the head on this first coat, and then we'll expand with our other coats. All right, there's that. And then really you could do her dress any color that you want. It looks like it's kind of a light green in this picture. So I'm going to do a little bit of cadmium yellow, and let's add some phthalo blue. Let's make it kind of a teal color. It'll be pretty. Give it a little bit different color story happening. It'll be similar, but give it a little different. There we go. And so I'm not going to do a hard edge where her hair is meeting this dress, because I don't want to have to cover over a line. If you did like a solid edge around everything, then it makes it a lot more difficult to get that kind of wispy look that we're going for. So I'm just going to kind of go over the top of that hair, kind of in the direction that I want that hair to lay, and that way it will kind of already do the work for us. It'll look like it's that hair is kind of laying on it.
Got a question about the colors on your palette.
Yes.
I would like to know, what is the color between the yellow oxide and the cad yellow?
There's no color between them. That's
Okay.
yellow oxide. That's cad yellow. That's Indian yellow hue.
Okay. That's probably what they're looking at.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, this one's going fairly fast. It's a little bit faster than I had expected. That's famous last words, right? It's actually not too bad so far. So far, so good. I'm going to grab a little bit of burnt umber here. And I'm going to go along the back side of some of these and just in the middle. Back side, just in the middle. Really, that's too big. I need a little smaller brush. Let's grab this 1/4 inch angle. Try that again. Let's try that again. I'm using the 1/4 inch angle here. So I'm going to just tap in a little bit of color kind of along the back side of those in the middle. See how that makes it look like they're kind of got a center there now. And really not all of these are going to, like, the only ones that you're going to do this with are these ones that are sort of right down here close to her. So those are the only ones that you're seeing any kind of detail at all. Everything else is too far away. We'll go ahead and do it to this one that she's holding to. This one's center is kind of right in here, so we're not seeing a whole lot of darkness. This one, though, we already kind of made this one pretty dark, so we don't have to do a whole lot. We'll actually be adding more of the lighter color to this one in the center. This is a little bit burnt sienna there. Okay. Okay, now as far as skin tone, she's very, very light skinned, very fair skinned. So I'm going to use the Unbleached Titanium kind of as our base. And then we will actually be adding some Ultramarine Blue. Oh, I didn't add Cadmium Red Medium. I should have had that on my list. Sorry. I need Cadmium Red Medium for her skin tone.
That's what I was thinking.
Were you?
Yeah, I was like, why didn't she use that? And I was like, well, she's the professional. I won't say anything. I don't want to throw her off her game, but
Cadmium Red Medium and Yellow Oxide. So those are our three colors that we use for the skin tone. Ultramarine Blue, Cadmium Red Medium, Yellow Oxide. So that'll be kind of our shadow color on her skin. And then we can go darker by adding a little bit of Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber for some of our shadow areas. There's a lot of blue, especially in fair-skinned folks. There's a lot of blue showing through, so you can see the kind of blood, I guess it is. Blue blood, whatever, through the veins. So I'm going to go ahead and do the darker area first here, kind of this underside of her shoulder, and then wipe that off, grab some of that kind of darker color there that we blended up. And if it looks too red, add a little bit of yellow or add a little bit of blue. You know, we're kind of using almost equal parts of really just a little bit of blue and more of the kind of equal parts red and yellow. But we don't want it to look super orange either, so we're kind of, and I'm just kind of scrubbing that in. And then as I come closer to the edge, I'm going to grab a little bit more of that Unbleached Titanium and just sort of scrub that in. And if you want it to be kind of painterly, you can kind of let your brush strokes show, kind of like what we've been doing. And then the only part that's going to be very light is really up here where the sun is touching her skin. The sunlight's hitting it. So most of this is kind of back here in shadow. And I'm going to use some of that darker color just right around here, right around where the dress is leaving a little shadow where it's touching her skin. Using this angle brush is nice because we can get kind of in these corners. I'm just kind of using the edge of it to draw a line down and then grab a little bit more of that kind of medium color and pulling it out from the edge before it dries. Grabbing that lighter color, kind of adding it up here at the top a little bit. Just kind of working wet into wet. If it's starting to dry, you can tell because it'll start to get kind of sticky and it'll feel like, you know, your paint's lifting or you'll leave some white spots and that kind of thing. So just, if it's starting to do that, just dry it completely and then keep on adding more color to it. You can come back and add layer upon layer. You know, as long as you kind of mix enough of these basic colors here, you can, and I'll probably need to add at least one more coat on this before it looks okay, but that's pretty close to our color. There is kind of a shadow sort of on her muscle here, sort of the back part of her arm here, the shoulder cap. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in right there.
would you consider this part of your Girls and Flowers?
I think so. Yeah, she definitely is part of my Girls and Flowers series. She's just a little bit different.
She might be the bridesmaid.
Exactly. She might be the young sister. The flower girl, maybe. So I'm going to make a little bit more reddish tone. This part of the forearm is a little bit more in the sunlight. So I'm going to start with the Cadmium Red Medium and the Yellow Oxide. Add that Unbleached Titanium as a base. If you don't have Unbleached Titanium, you can mix it with Yellow Oxide, a little touch of Burnt Umber. So it's basically white plus Burnt Umber, a little tiny bit of Burnt Umber, and Yellow Oxide. adding a little bit of blue, just a little bit. I want to keep it more golden for this part, and actually adding a little bit more red because I wanted a little bit more of that kind of reddish tone. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's see how that looks. And I have green on here from the leaf, so let me take a couple coats to get over the top of that green that I put on there. So we use that there, and then we'll just use a little bit of it up here in her shoulder to tie those two together so they look like, you know, they're part of the same person.
That'd be kind of odd.
Right.
Just this random arm coming out.
Exactly. I'm going to use this dark color under the bottom part of her hand here. This is that shadow color. And then as it comes up and around, it's a little bit lighter. I'll paint in this palm. And I'm just going to go right over the top of that sunflower, even though it's going to be dark in there. I'm going to grab some burnt umber here and just going to use some of this darker color down in here.
When you have an opportunity, could you go over the paints that you used to mix up the skin tones?
Yes.
Again? Thanks.
Yes.
Some of us weren't paying attention.
That's okay. You're probably having fun in chat. Okay, so it is cadmium red medium, yellow oxide, and then a touch of burnt umber, or I'm sorry, touch of ultramarine blue, and then burnt umber to make it dark. So I'm going to mix up some of the gray with the ultramarine and burnt umber here. Equal parts, just about. Mix that dark gray that I like to use. And I'm going to grab a little bit of black too and just add a little bit of this color in her hair. And it might be a little too dark, but let's go and grab some burnt umber here. There we go. Just going to add a little bit of it here and there. This will give us some contrast when we add our upper coats to it, other colors. Because right now it's kind of light, so, which is fine, but when we add our lighter colors on there, we need a little contrast. Okay, there we go. Let me use my gray here. I'm going to mix some of this teal that's in her dress with it. Go. I'm just going to bring in some pleats, sort of pleat in some from the back there. And then there's some shadow kind of right here next to the body. Wipe most of that off my brush and just kind of blend it in. And then I can kind of use the edge of it to sort of soften and blend in to my green, and I can grab some of that green and sort of put it next to it and just kind of flicking it so that it's not going on too solid. I want it to be kind of streaked like this. So and then I can grab some of the white mix it with that shirt color, and I'm going to go in and add a little bit of white highlights kind of right up next to some of those dark areas there. What it'll do is kind of pull the fabric up and out towards us. And then I want to do this light color right around her sleeve here too, where it's coming up over the edge. Kind of a highlight right there. And it's kind of highlighted all the way down a little bit. Use a little bit more of that dark color down here. Okay, and then I want to use some of that ultramarine blue and burnt umber mixed with our flesh tone there. A little bit more of our dark color. If it looks too blue, you can add more gray, or more brown, I mean. So there we go. I'm going to use that color. And I'm going to darken up right in here again. This should be dry now. So don't do this while it's wet. Oh, see, that's what happens. It wasn't dry. Okay. I'm going to go for the really dark color. I'm just going to do it right there. And then tap a little bit. Yeah, it's lifting. Okay, I need to stop messing with it. I'll have to come back to that. I left a little spot there on her shirt. This is not blended in. I guess that was still, it's still a little tacky. All right, let's work on our sunflowers and we'll come back to that. So I'm going to switch to a number 1 round here. Oh, actually, let me put in her face while we're doing that because we don't want to have to wait on the face to dry. Face is that kind of a rosy color that we were using on the hands. Using some of that unbleached titanium. There we go. Yeah, we just need to let that dry. Okay. How you doing, hon?
I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
A little sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Nice.
other than that, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
All right.
Good.
Hanging in there.
Seems like you're doing okay over there.
Yeah. I'm going to use a little bit of the cadmium red media or cadmium red light here and tap that in on my sunflower. Just a little bit of it. There's just a little hint of this brighter red in here. Kind of in the middle area. Or I should say that outside circle kind of, there's a center circle and then this sort of outside circle here. There's a little bit of this brighter red color. Just tap a little bit of it. A couple places there. And then I'm going to put a little bit of it in her hair too. Stop yawning over there. Can you want to yawn?
I'll try to do better.
Okay.
I yawn into the mic. I wonder how many people will yawn on the video. You're welcome, everybody.
All right, so our basic color for our leaves is this yellow oxide and phthalo green. And then I'm going to add unbleached titanium to make a highlight color. Maybe a little bit of the cadmium yellow light as well. It's kind of a sunlit highlight color. Pretty light. Right. So I'm going to use this sort of on the outside of where I'm seeing my stem, and I'm just going to kind of tap in a halo around the outside of my stem here. And these stems are fairly thick and kind of lumpy, so it doesn't have to be a straight line. Just want it to be, and they're fuzzy too, so that's why I'm kind of tapping. And then there is some leaves coming off. Their leaves are heart-shaped, so kind of does this heart-shaped thing here. Do one curving out. And you're seeing the edge of it right there. And then the top of it is coming up and around like that and back in. Then there we go. And then there's another leaf right here. I'm just kind of pulling out and down towards the tip with these kind of streaks. They sort of come out, curve out and around. And then I'm going to use the medium color to do on this side. And add a little bit of this darker color on this side as well. All right, and then I'm going to grab some burnt umber and the cadmium, or the phthalo green, and use a little bit of that in to shadow, just a little shadow in a couple places. I'm just kind of adding little streaks into the wet paint here, nothing too obvious. There we go. One down. So this one has got some spikes of green coming out the backside because it's facing the flower over here. So we're seeing some of these green leaves that are at the back of the flower. And then it's even brighter. I'm going to be adding some white here. And yeah. Okay. A little bit of that more green version down here. And then there is some little stems right there, here, and a large leaf coming out this way. It cuts off part of the... So really not seeing a lot of these face on there. We're kind of seeing the sides of them. So they're kind of not quite fully heart-shaped. More smushed heart. I'm going to do a little bit of darker color down the stem. And if you got too much of the white on there, you can do the stem in now. But you can kind of see how it's making it look like it's glowing in the sunlight there. Let's do a leaf up this way. Do more yellow. And then that darker kind of green down in here. I'm going to go really dark with it right here. Wipe my brush clean. Grab a little bit more of that yellow in the white. And I've pushed my brush flat, so I've got it kind of a slight, like a tip to it. Here, and I'm going to draw my center line there on that leaf. And then grab some of that green and pull some of that green down into that dark. See that? Right.
So I got some sunflower facts if you want them.
Okay.
The world's tallest sunflower reaches 30 feet.
What?
So this is one tall girl you're painting right now.
Wow.
She looks like she's probably about 32 feet tall.
Oh, surely this is not the world's tallest here.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. 32.
30 foot.
30 foot. Jeez.
They're native to the Americas.
Okay.
They were cultivated, they're saying, as far back they can tell 3000 BC for food, medicine, dyes, and oils. And then exported to the rest of the world by the Spanish conquistadors
Interesting.
around 1500.
Wow.
They track the sun.
Very cool. I did know that. We've had them in the backyard. They do that. They start out facing the sun and they do the turn during the day.
They've been in space. Astronaut
Really?
brought them up there in 2012. Planted some
Wow.
seeds. They are actually thousands of tiny flowers.
Really?
Says each sunflower head is made of smaller flowers.
Mm.
The petals we see around the outside are called ray florets. And they cannot reproduce. But the disc floret in the middle, where the seeds develop, have both male and female and produce the seed.
Interesting.
They can self-pollinate.
Well, we've seen that.
Yep.
The birdseed pollinates too.
Mm-hmm. Pretty interesting.
That is. I didn't know that. So this part's a flower?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Or a whole bunch of flowers.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
It's on the internet.
Okay.
How can it be wrong?
Well, I'm just saying. I'm sure it is right. I'm going to use some white and some of this yellow here. I still have a little bit of green in my brush, so it's going to tint it. I'm just going to go through here and just add a little bright highlights here and there on these leaves.
So if you don't know already, you can click the show more down below the video. See the list of all the supplies, paints, and brushes being used in today's show.
Very true.
And then links to the brush guys, 5% off with the code AngelaFineArt. Links to Amazon, and there's a affiliate store. Buy some stuff on there.
Gives us a little bit of a bonus every month.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, the links to social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I always forget that one.
Pinterest,
thank you.
I knew which one you were
I
talking
don't
about.
know why. Pinterest and all that stuff. And, of course, Patreon,
Oh, yeah.
where there'll be traceables.
Yes, I talked about that already a little bit, but you
Yep.
can talk about it again if you need to.
I do because I need to put up the slick logo there.
Oh, okay.
So patreon.com/AngelaFineArt.
Mm-hmm.
You can get your traceables at the $1 level. And all the way back to 2017. Go.
No, that's not. All right, I'm going to do mixing the orange with the Indian Yellow Hue. Cadmium Orange with the Indian Yellow Hue here. And I'm going to use that with my cadmium yellow here. So I've got that mixed there, and I'm going to grab some cadmium yellow, do some over here. I'm going to need some more cadmium. Now that I'm getting down to the end of my sunflowers here. Okay. And I'm going to start with this darker color kind of, and just sort of push it around the outside of the flowers here. Grab some of that darker. Just add a little bit of it right towards the center of our flowers. Make sure that I go over the top of the brown here so that there's no gaps between the brown and the sunflower. So if you've got any gaps in there, use this to kind of bridge them. I'm going to just add some darker color down in here, close to the center of our flowers. We will add more dark to our centers, so don't worry if you cover too much up. Then add a little bit of this color just in a couple places down in here, just on some of these flowers that are sort of in our background. Just sort of add a little bit of this back here. Grabbing some white here and some cadmium yellow. I still had a little bit of that orange on there too. Just a little bit. Making a light yellow. Use it up in here. Put a little bit of this color on a few of these back in here where the sun's hitting them. There's a little bit of lighter color. I'm scrubbing my brush so that it's keeps it random. Kind of using the paper, wet damn paper towel to kind of push that around too. So if you put your paint on and you don't like it, the first thing I do is kind of rub it with my finger. If I still don't like it, then I'll grab my paper towel and kind of, you know, try dabbing it with my paper towel. And then if I just decide it's not going to work at all, then I get a little bit more water and just wipe the whole thing off and start over. So, you know, kind of get in the habit of using your finger to kind of blend a little bit, especially if you kind of, you know, are not, I mean, you don't have to do it every time, but you notice that I do it a lot when I'm painting because it really does help kind of soften things up a little bit as you're working. You can kind of work a little bit faster. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and try to do a second coat on her face here. I think I'm going to stick with this brush. It seems to be working pretty well for me. This is the number 1 round. I'm going to grab, and all of our skin color is gone now, so mix up some more of that. Cadmium red, yellow oxide, and a little bit of ultramarine blue. The more blue we do, the more kind of neutral it'll get. So that's kind of a really warm color there. Then I'm going to use a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium there. You can use titanium white if you want to tone it down. So that's still way too red. Add more of my yellow, warm it up. There we go. If it looks too orange, add a little bit of the blue. If it looks too yellow, I'll add a little bit of the blue or the red. So you just go back and forth with it. There's no real set amount. It's just sort of. On this one, her skin tone and her face is a little bit warmer, so I'm going to use a little bit more reddish yellow tones. So I've got this color. Yep, that's working pretty good. I just don't want it too like baby pink, you know. You just want to use that blue to kind of tone it down so that it looks a little bit more neutral, natural colored. Okay. And then for the ear, use some of that Ultramarine Blue and Burnt Umber to create my gray. Add a little bit of that face color. I'm going to just go on the inside of that ear, right there, and then pull it down with some of the face color. So really not doing a whole lot with the ear, just going to add a little bit of a highlight right at the top of it. And right here where it kind of comes in, and another little bit right here where it comes in there. And there's another little highlight that goes right there. Honestly, if you want to do a little comma stroke in there, it probably won't be that big of a deal. I'm gonna use a little bit more of the reddish color and highlight in front on her cheekbone here. There's kind of a shadow right here. It comes down this way. Grabbing that unbleached titanium. I'm going to use it while that color's wet there. I'm just going to blend back over the edge. Kind of blend it in to the rest of this. I'll put a little bit of dark down here by her hair too. I'm going to do a little bit more of that kind of reddish color. In there. Wipe my brush clean and then kind of blending it out. I still have that unbleached titanium down, so this is gonna kind of smush down into that unbleached titanium. We can move it around a little bit. Okay. There we go. Really dark up here, so I'm just kind of slowly trying to add more dark. I don't want to get too dark too soon, but this is pretty dark up here, so add a little bit more of that dark just right up there. And if it goes too far to one side, you can add a little bit of the unbleached titanium or push it back. You don't want to. The highlight kind of goes from here all the way down and around her face. And then this area here is kind of in shadow, this sort of triangle area here. Okay, really bright right here. Her face is pretty much outlined with this highlight here. Actually, I think we need a little yellow with the white in that skin tone. So a little bit of the Unbleached Titanium with this yellow color that we have down here. Press my brush flat. Try to go real close to the face right there. And a little bit up in here. And a little bit is hitting her ear too. Right there. How you doing, hon?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. You look like you're doing something over there.
All my little small mixers batteries seem to be running low.
Oh.
So I'm okay.
So I sound okay?
Oh no, you sound okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the little one where I mix the live and the delayed together to make sure that it's coming through okay.
I see. Okay, using that highlight color right there along the top of her arm and all the way down. Wipe my brush clean, and I'm just going to kind of fuzz out that edge right here just a little bit. I'm just going to go right next to it and just going to pull it towards the, almost like I'm kind of scribbling off that edge a little bit. And if it's too dark, I can grab that Unbleached Titanium and just kind of go over the edge and kind of pull it out that way a little bit. Go over the top of it just a little bit. Pull it out. A little bit more of that yellow. Do a little bit on her arm here. Pulling it out with that Unbleached Titanium a little bit. And grabbing some of that tan color. And use that in here. I have different colors now than the first colors that I've used, so just trying to kind of get them to blend together. I need a darker color on the back side of her hand there, so I'm going to grab some of that gray, add it to my dark color here. There, and then add a little bit to the palm right there. And then let's go ahead and use it down in here too while we've got it Umber because we need to darken that up. I'm going to go ahead and use it right along that edge to put a shadow right there. And then I'm going to use the medium color here. I'm going to pull it down. You can see that this color is a little warmer than the one we used before, but that's okay. Okay, I'm going to mix a little bit bigger brush here. I'm going to grab my 1/4 inch angle. Grab some of that color that we're using here. Grabbed a little bit of the sort of lighter version of it. I'm just going to blend down over the top of this. Try to blend this in a little bit. There we go. Okay. And then let's use a little bit of this kind of medium color, sort of right in here to blend that in. This part is a little bit tricky. No, you don't. Just take your time. If you hate it, just keep on working it until you get it to where you like it. So, it doesn't have to, we can do several layers on this until it'll look right. And just keep on working on it until it's where you like it. So, I'm going to go a little bit darker here, down in here again, while this is still wet. Darken that shadow area right there. Grab some of the really dark color. There we go. As we need it really, really dark right there. And then just wiped off my brush. Now I'm kind of pushing that color around, blending it into the colors that were already wet next to it. Now we got a good shadow down there. I'm going to use some of that reddish color up in here. These fingers are kind of, I'm not going to put a lot of detail in there, so I mainly just want to make sure that the shape is right. There is a little bit of a separation between the fingers right in here, so you can kind of make a dark shadow right there if you want to. There we go. And there's some shadow on her palm here too, I'm seeing. So let's put some of that in there. Just pull that out. Is that your stomach? Mark's stomach's over there talking. No comment.
I think it was. I was trying to comment in the chat and I put in, I think she is, and I must have not put a space in somewhere because it auto-corrected it to Itchy Sherry.
That's awesome.
So there you go.
Itchy Sherry.
Itchy Sherry.
Check. We understand. Got it. Perfectly. All right. I'm going to grab some of this some of the cadmium or burnt sienna. with this flesh tone that I've got on my brush here. And I'm just going to tap in a little bit on her eyebrow area that comes around. We're seeing the kind of the edge of the eyebrow there. So just a little bit of the eyebrow. And it actually kind of comes out a little bit. There. Tap a little bit. That doesn't look right. I need to, there we go. Let's try that again. Keep it real close to the edge of the eye there. And that actually, I'm gonna use some green here because this actually kind of comes in right there a little bit. There we go. Just subtle changes. I took away some of her cheek color there. Put that back in. Use that bright yellow, white. Go. And then I'm going to use my liner brush. Grab some of that. And let's grab some of this orangey. With my burnt sienna. Yellow, Indian yellow, burnt sienna. Some white. Add a lot of water so that it'll flow off my brush. And this is coming down like this. And do a little bit of the darker color kind of in the middle there, so you kind of see that those are lashes. And grab that white and do it along the tips. I think I'm gonna go in here and do some darker green behind it so that it's easier to see. How you doing, hon?
Good. I was working on technical difficulty there.
Oh, really?
There was some static coming from somewhere.
Uh-oh. Did you fix it?
I think I did.
Good.
I don't know what I did, but I fixed it.
Oh,
I'll
good.
take credit for it. I moved some wires around.
Yeah, I find that if the wires are touching each other, sometimes they'll do that. Okay. Okay. Let's try this again. So her eye is actually kind of right in here. So we're seeing the lashes looking down like that. It's not right up in that crease there. It's kind of just below it. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm going to let that dry because it seems a little much right now, but we'll see what it looks like when it's dry. All right, let's finish our flowers. Then we can do the hair and we'll be done. So grabbing some of that cadmium yellow medium. Just finding a clean spot over here that I can work in. And I've still got this number 1 round. And I'm just going to draw in my petals. Leave a little bit of the dark color showing in the center, so I'm not going all the way over everything with this color. I'm kind of leaving a little bit of the undercolors showing. And then here's where if you have like a little part of your arm, your hand or something that you just don't like, you can throw the petal over the top of it. And there you go. You can camouflage it. Instant camo. This comes over the top of the fingers, so you're not seeing the tips of the fingers. Go a little bit farther down with this. There we go. Isn't that pretty? Pretty, pretty, pretty. Let's do this one. Oops, just lifted up some of that color there. Whoop. my hand in it. Do that every time. Messed up my petals. So these are kind of coming up and then back around, so we're seeing them from the side. Go. And grab some of the lighter color because this is not covering very well right there, so use some of that white to help. If you want a lesson on doing sunflowers too, just sunflowers, I've got several. I did one last year that I did with a pumpkin. I did like a 2-part series, one pumpkin and one sunflower in a mason jar that was a little bit more detailed than this. And then I've got a really super simple sunflower that I did with my kids class, one of my very first videos, that breaks it down to make it really simple. So if you like sunflowers, you may check those out too. I'm going to grab some of that burnt sienna and just kind of add a little bit of that there, and I'm going to pull a little bit of shadows, some of these petals. Just once more in a couple of places here. And grab my cadmium yellow medium, go over the top, blend that in. Now the cadmium yellow medium will also kind of brighten up some of these, because I did kind of the lighter color first, so it'll help they kind of be more visible. If they're not showing up, yellow is can be a tricky color because it can tend to be transparent, so sometimes you may have to add a little bit of white to it to get it to show up. I'm going to add some of the white to this. Some white, a little bit of the yellow. Do some white highlights in some of these petals. Where the sun's hitting it. The unbleached titanium here.
So it does look like you know what you're doing after all.
Hopefully. All right, let's do some hair now. So I'm going to grab this Granier brush here. And use this burnt sienna. I need some of my yellow oxide. Well, actually, I can use this color here. Use this.
Yes, I talk all the time.
What? That was Alexa. Oh my gosh, that was awesome. She thought I was talking to her. That's awesome. Oh my gosh. I wonder what she thought I said. Okay, so I'm going to use some of this color. This is that Indian yellow. I have like a tiny bit of burnt sienna in there, a little bit of the yellow, and I'm just going to kind of use it to tap in the face of my sunflower a little bit right there. That was awesome. I usually turn her off when I start the show because sometimes I say Alexa by accident and then she'll chime in there. But she must have heard I said something that she thought I said her name. It's awesome. Why, yes, I do talk a lot. So do I, Alexa. So do I. Okay. Around the center there. Just adding kind of random little dots. And here again, if you do too much or feel like it's too dark, you can kind of use your finger to tap off the extra. Alright, then I want to use my dark, before I forget, my burnt umber, burnt sienna here, and tap along this edge here. Where my petals go in. That outer, the center of it overlaps those petals a little bit, so it's going to cover up. The edge of them. Except for not right here, because those petals are being seen in sideways, but this part is. So this part, but right about here, the petals are going to be in front. Okay, so now here's this brush. I am going to add a lot of water to it because it's got to be thin enough for it to separate those hairs. Whoop. I just need a new palette here. I'm getting some of this cadmium yellow and the burnt sienna and Indian yellow hue. Here, I'm going to use this first. Coming down towards the ear there. I'm going to add a little bit of white to this.
I'll say that her dress looks very wrinkly on the back.
Good.
It's pretty cool.
I'm going to use a little bit of this cadmium red light in there too, because her hair is very carrot orange. It is Anne of Green Gables. Gilbert called her carrots, and she broke her tablet over his head because of it. It's actually speaking of books, the #1 Great American Book thing has been going on. That's called all summer long, where you could vote for your favorite book to win for the greatest American book. And several of the top 10 were my favorites. Guess what the #1 one was?
Oh, Sense and Sensibility?
No.
No. The kilt dude.
Outlander.
Yeah.
That was #2. Which I was really surprised that it ranked that high.
Twilight.
Oh, that was way down.
The History of Tanks. No. Real quick, which brush are you using?
This is the Granier, the Filbert Granier. It's like a comb rake combo kind of brush. So
Okay, so I'm back to guessing here.
I'm using the darker color down in here.
So it wasn't Sense and Sensibility?
Pride and Prejudice
Pride
was in
and
there. That's the one you're
Prejudice.
thinking, because that's
Yeah.
my favorite
Yeah.
book.
The
It
number
won-
#1 book.
It was like
Oh,
number
oh.
5 or 6, I think.
Okay.
Maybe, I don't know. Jane Eyre was 10, I think.
People are laughing in chat about the kilt guy.
Yeah, he knows. Jamie's my book boyfriend.
Yeah, well, let's not talk about him, please. You know how sensitive I am about that.
Right. So I am just slowly building up these layers. So kind of started out with the lighter colors, went in now back into some darker ones here. I'm going to grab this yellow to do down in here, because there's these really bright yellow highlights through here in front of her face where the light's catching it. And if we do this too bright, that's fine. We can always go back over this with shading of other colors. So what we're doing right now is I'm not really too worried about the actual color Although I want to stay in the right family of colors, so that it's not like going to be really super difficult to cover over any of this. But we're working on values. Let me give you a hint. The book was written by a lady who she only wrote like one or two books in her lifetime. I think two. The second one was not finished, but it came out, or maybe it was finished and came out last year or the year before. More than that, a few years ago. But she was kind of a famous recluse. She was friends with Capote, Truman Capote, that wrote Breakfast in Tiffany's. She was in the movie with him.
Man, your hints are really helping me narrow it down here. So it's not.
It's a book. It's a movie with.
It's not Harry Potter.
It's a movie with Gregory Peck. No, it's not Harry Potter. Harry Potter was up there though. It was like, I think the Harry Potter was number 3.
Movie with Gregory Peck, To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yep. Ding ding ding. Good job, honey.
Thanks.
I knew you could get it.
It's about the only movie I know.
With Gregory Peck. Because I've made you watch it so many times.
I think as we talked about it over dinner last week with Spence.
Oh, we did. You're right. We did. He's reading it right now at school. Yep. Maybe that's why. Maybe they...
I don't know. I'm sure
they wouldn't be reading Outlander, hopefully.
I'm sure I quote read it in school at some point.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. I think Spencer gets your love of reading. Love of reading from you. It's like, how are you liking it, Spencer? It's all right. Okay, so I'm adding a little bit more of that golden color here. I notice there's some gold kind of coming off this side for head. I'm trying to kind of... This part is a little bit tricky right here because it's... coming right off that edge of the hair there. It's hard to... Got all kinds of colors going on in here. Okay. I'm going to switch to my liner brush. I'm going to get some fresh paint out here because this is a mess. Let me start with the angle brush first. I'm going to use this burnt sienna here. Flatten it out with my angle brush. And I can use it to create some lines. In my hair, break it up a little bit. I'm going to use it real close to this edge over here where I kind of got that really yellow color. I'm going to go with a darker burnt umber color right here, right in front of her ear and kind of behind it. brush off and kind of use the edge of it to soften it. Use that burnt sienna. Grab some white and yellow here with my burnt sienna. There, and then right along the face here, just going to highlight the front of her hair. It's almost white, actually. I'm just going to go ahead and grab white. Wipe that off and kind of just pull little lines of it in towards the Here we go. This part's a little tricky. Not gonna lie. It's kind of okay, I'm kind of starting over here. Well, I just didn't like the first go around here. Try white. Let's use that rake brush. And I'm just going to kind of tap in along the front there. There's just these little flyaways things happening. There we go. Okay. Use a little bit of this white down in here too. All right. Grabbing some of the cadmium orange with the Indian yellow here. It's going to look really weird, but we're going to tone it down, so. Just using the edge of my angle brush here. Starting to get there. Do one long. Use the burnt sienna mix with this color here. Grabbed a little bit of the cadmium red light too. I need the darker color on the dress itself. So when I get down to the dress, I'm kind of switching to the burnt sienna, burnt umber colors. I still have these other colors on my brush, but that'll just show better.
Okay, so what was your favorite book?
Pride and Prejudice. Outlander's kind of up there, and Jane Eyre. I love To Kill a Mockingbird too, don't get me wrong, but it's not one that I like go back and read again and again. You know, like I've read Pride and Prejudice probably 15 times, maybe more. And watched the movie and like pretty much obsessed with that. It was the whole Colin Firth time period. Okay, all right, we are. Poor Mark.
Right. Okay.
Okay, using a little bit of the black here. Back now that I've kind of got my colors in here, I can kind of put back in. So it's just a matter of kind of tweaking it now. We've got it, we've pretty much got it in there. The colors are pretty close. We just need to kind of make it look sort of flowy. So I'm going to kind of highlight certain areas, but I'm pretty happy with it. I like the glow on the top of the head there. It's coming down around pretty nicely. If you get too much glow, or it's, you know, it's like, you know, you've got too much happening there, you can take your thinned out burnt sienna and just pull it back up over, and what that'll do is just kind of tone down any brassiness or any of the really, really bright highlights that are just too much. So, and if it's too, you know, too yellow or something like that, you could add a little bit of the burnt umber and do the burnt umber with a wash. But this is actually, we're doing pretty good here, so I'll just yellow, the burnt sienna, a little bit of that Indian. Kind of the hair has been the burnt sienna, the Indian yellow, the cadmium orange, and the little bit of the cadmium yellow here and there. But mostly those three colors, the cadmium orange, the Indian yellow, and the burnt sienna, and then some of the burnt umber and black in the dark areas. So I think I'm done. What do you think, hon? Good enough? Pretty cute. Let's sign her.
It looks pretty cute.
Yeah, I like it. Let's sign up here. Oops, got some super chats.
A subdued bell.
Nice. Subdued bell, yeah.
We had one super chat
Nice.
from all the awesome chats. And it was from Deidre. And she says, thanks, Angela and Mark. So enjoy the tutorials, online chat, and in-video conversations. Makes me happy.
Aw.
So thank you so much, Deidre, for your support.
Thank you, Deidre.
And that I could
That's
turn
awesome.
on the disco lights.
Yeah, Mark. It's a sad day if he doesn't get to
Exactly.
do his disco lights there. All right, guys. Thanks for watching today. Really appreciate you. Hope you enjoyed it. And try it. And we will be back Tuesday night for another tutorial. We've got a really, really simple one this time. So super easy, like first time painting, 100% easy. We're going to do a very simple tree and just kind of a really interesting abstract type background with it. So I think it'll be really fun. And then next week we'll have our sheep. So come back for that. All right. Thanks guys so much. And we'll see you next time. Bye.